I doted on my childhood sweetheart like a princess, obeying her every wish. Yet she turned around and fell for a street thug. Claiming he was her true love, she went so far as to reject my 10 marriage proposals. Not knowing that thug was HIV positive, involved in human trafficking, complete scum of the earth. Later, when my sweetheart was beaten into a miscarriage by that thug and nearly trafficked to Myanmar, I rescued her and advised, don't let that scumbag deceive you again, only to be slapped across the face. You're just jealous. He just can't express his love for me properly. I resolved to abandon my savior complex and married the department beauty who'd always been by my side. She burst into my wedding wearing a bridal gown, kneeling to beg for another chance. I laughed and said, did you really think this was a garbage dump? The last time I saw Shiyu was on the school's Tiaba forum. Post after post showed intimate photos with some man, even explicit images. I slammed the laptop shut. I dialed Shiyu's phone number. Where are you? Do you realize what you're doing? Who the hell are you? What gives you the right to boss my wife around? A male voice came through. Wife? My heart suddenly tightened with panic. What do you mean your wife? Where's Shiyu? Shiyu. Ah, you. Be gentle. Before I could finish, indescribable noises came through the receiver. I frantically hung up, completely confused. What was Shiyu's relationship with that guy? Chunyin, did you hear? Some girl from the English department next door might get suspended. My roommate patted my shoulder. English department, wasn't that Shiyu's major? They say she failed attendance requirements and was messing around with men privately. I know. Isn't that the girl from the forum with those explicit photos? Hearing their discussion, I hurriedly opened my laptop. Her? She's getting suspended? Yeah, and you know what? She looks just like that childhood sweetheart you've been pining for. I slammed the laptop shut in anger and rushed out of the room. In the rain, I was like a headless fly, asking around for Shiyu's whereabouts. Her phone was turned off. As the rain grew heavier, I had no choice but to run to the guest house ahead to take shelter, where I unexpectedly saw Shiyu walking down the stairs intimately leaning against a blonde-haired guy. Shiyu. My eyes widened in disbelief as I grabbed her hand aggressively. Why are you here? Chunyin. Shiyu turned her head in surprise, a flash of panic and evasion in her eyes. Who the fuck are you? Daring to touch people in front of me. The blonde-dyed punk suddenly charged forward like a food-protecting beast, forcefully wrenching my hand away. Ajun, stop this. Shiyu hurriedly reached out to intervene, her eyes filled with anxiety. He's just a neighborhood brother of mine. Then she looked at me, her gaze unexpectedly carrying a pleading expression. Chunyin, this is Hujun, the boyfriend I just started dating. Shiyu bit her lip, as if mustering all her courage to say these words. Watching Shiyu's anxious, protective demeanor towards this blonde guy, and hearing the intimate nickname, everything felt utterly foreign to me. Trembling all over with anger, I roared, Do you even know the school is suspending you? Shiyu simply shrugged with nonchalant calmness. So what? What future is there in studying? Might as well start working early. Besides, Ajun treats me really well. Seeing her stubborn refusal to see reason, I ground my teeth in frustration. Have you lost your mind? Abandoning proper studies to hang around with this hoodlum. We were supposed to, after graduation weed. Who the hell is a hoodlum? Watch your fucking mouth. Hujun raised his fist like a cat with its tail stepped on, glaring at me menacingly, his eyes seeming to devour me whole. Blinded by rage, I shoved the blonde guy away violently. Reaching out to pull Shiyu, that guy's scum. Anyone can see he's bad news. What future could he possibly? Before I could finish, a bang echoed as Hujun's vicious punch slammed me to the ground. My head buzzed with a deafening hum, stars exploding before my eyes. Before I could even struggle to stand, the blonde lunatic pounced again like a rabid animal. A barrage of punches rained down relentlessly, my glasses shattering with a crash against the floor into glittering shards. Talk more. Keep talking. So goddamn talkative, huh? Hujun snarled savagely between each brutal blow. Shiyu saw this, and then leisurely stepped forward to tug at Hujun's sleeve. Stop it already. We have other things to do. Just leave him be. Trembling from pain, I struggled to pull out the necklace from beneath my collar, hung with 2 rings I had painstakingly crafted by hand. Rings meant for proposing at next year's graduation ceremony. She had long known about this plan. Chunyin, I didn't want to be with you before. But when I needed you most, you were always busy with your damn experiments. Even when I almost. It was Ah Jun who showed up to save me in time. Shiyu looked at me, her eyes devoid of any pity, only endless indifference. Don't pester me anymore in the future. Stop being pathetic, Chunyin. With these words, she walked away arm in arm with Hujun without a backward glance. Left alone in utter desolation, I collapsed to the ground. Watching their retreating figures, I shamefully picked up my broken glasses from the pavement. This heart-shattering feeling was exactly the same as when my parents abandoned me all those years ago. When I was young, my parents divorced. My father remarried someone else. My mother remarried as well. Both of them formed happy new families. Only me. Mother didn't want me, saying my uncle objected. Father gave me some money, telling me not to disturb them lest I wake his daughter. Even though I was just a 6-year-old child myself, I could only watch enviously as father doted on the infant in his arms. I was like a soccer ball, kicked around until finally my grandpa and grandma came to take me from the city to the countryside. In the village, there was endless farm work every day, either plowing the fields or feeding the cows. Busy from dawn till dusk, physically exhausted yet mentally fulfilled, thinking it would remain this way forever. Until that day, when my grandparents also left me forever. Once again, I was left utterly alone, at the brink of giving up. It was Yu's embrace that saved me. Brother, don't cry. I'll stay by your side. For that single sentence, I loved her for 16 full years, and my heart has belonged to her for those 16 full years. I have always remembered that she envied the princess in the proposal of Serum, saying it took 10 marriage proposals to achieve perfection, and she wanted to be like that princess someday. I've been preparing since university, and next year's graduation would coincidentally be my 10th proposal. It was just this close. Why couldn't you wait a little longer? My research results will pass next year. By then, I'll have everything. On the verge of breaking down, an umbrella suddenly appeared above my head. Before I could see who it was, I collapsed heavily to the ground. Sitting dazed in the classroom, watching the lecturer. I have no memory of how I returned yesterday. Was it all a dream? How did I get back yesterday? The hoarseness in my throat testified to yesterday's reality. You've really hit the jackpot. It was Song Wei from the neighboring department who brought you back. That girl dragged her umbrella all the way for you, getting herself completely soaked. These two students, why are you late? The teacher's question instantly drew everyone's attention. I looked up and saw Xiu, who was about to be suspended, along with her boyfriend. As the class dismissal bell rang, I quickly ran to block their path. Xiu, I'm begging you, don't stay with him. Just give me a little more time. My project is almost finished. My voice trembled with desperation, almost hoarse from shouting. Slap! A sharp stinging pain erupted on my cheek as a resounding slap landed. Xiu glared at me with disgust and shouted, Chunyin, wasn't I clear enough? Get lost. A crowd of curious students had already gathered around. Whispers and murmurs swirled through the onlookers. Looks like Chunyin won't stop harassing Xiu. Wait, didn't I hear that Xiu was the one cheating first? Isn't that the exposed girl from the campus forum? My roommate rushed to my side, trying to pull me back, pleading urgently. Just let it go. Chunyin, don't be impulsive. Xiu, you weren't like T.S. before. Was it this punk who forced you? Threatened you? Don't be afraid. Tell me quickly. Completely ignoring my roommate's attempts to stop me, I struggled free from his grip and charged towards Xiu like a madman. Brother Chunyin is here. I'll protect you. No. Who do you think you are? What right do you have to be ordering me around? Chunyin, you're just an unwanted orphan yourself. Xiu spat these words viciously like an enraged beast. The word, orphan, pierced straight into the most vulnerable part of my heart, like a razor-sharp dagger. All the words I wanted to use to dissuade her ground to a halt the moment I heard that term. I desperately covered my ears in panic. The murmurs among surrounding classmates grew louder when they heard this. Chunyin is actually an orphan? Wouldn't surprise me. Always acting all high and mighty with that pretty face. Turns out it's just social awkwardness. Enough, Xiu. Your words are crossing the line. Chen was just trying to be kind. Song Wei from the back row suddenly shielded me like a hero upholding justice. You know perfectly well Chen always considers your feelings first. How could you hurt someone like this? I never asked for it. That's just his wishful thinking. Xiu retorted impatiently, her eyes filled with disdain. Hey, who the hell are you to shout at my girl? Hu Jun exploded like a lit firecracker. He violently shoved Song Wei with full force. Song Wei staggered, nearly losing her balance. This scene detonated the emotions I'd suppressed for too long, erupting like molten lava. With bloodshot eyes, I recklessly charged forward and slammed my fist into Hu Jun's face. Hu Jun staggered back a few steps before we instantly became entangled in a messy brawl. The classroom erupted in chaos, gasps of shock, desperate calls to break up the fight, the commotion swelling like storm waves. It wasn't until the homeroom teacher rushed over that the intense fight was finally subdued. In the infirmary, Song Wei held iodine tincture, applying medicine to me with soft and careful movements, her eyes filled with self-blame and guilt. As she whispered, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have intervened earlier. Now you're hurt because of me. Thank you. My voice was hoarse yet sincere. What? Song Wei looked up confused, as if she hadn't heard clearly. I smiled gently at her and said slowly, Thank you for standing up for me like that. She lowered her head shyly, scratching the back of her neck in embarrassment, her cheeks flushing as she asked, Then you? Just then, Yu's tearful voice suddenly came from outside the infirmary. No. Mom, you're in the village. It's not Chunyin. It's someone else. He treats me well. You wouldn't understand. Dad also ran away back then. Just stop nagging. Immediately after, Shiryu stormed in angrily, her eyes filled with disgust. And call. Delay declared at me. Chunyin, you are not to show yourself in front of me ever again. I don't want to see you anymore. Just not long ago, she had gazed at me with those eyes brimming with affection and uttered earnestly. Chunyin, after graduation we'll be together. But now, everything has changed with things still existing, but people moving on, like a shattered, beautiful dream that can never be pieced together again. Was it from the moment Hu Jun appeared that her heart changed? If he voluntarily steps aside, can everything return to how it was? I took all the money I had saved from tutoring over the years. After finding out Hu Jun's address, I went to look for him. At the narrow and dirty alley entrance, I saw him talking to another man. Brother Liu, rest assured, this time's girl is really hot. The higher-ups will be satisfied. What upper side? Which girl? Are you talking about Shiyu? Hu Jun noticed me, hurriedly pushed the man away, and adjusted his clothes. Need something? I really admire his composure. How could he calm down so quickly? What chicks? Are you talking about Shiyu? What are you planning to do? Hu Jun sneered, patting my shoulder pointedly. None of your business. Aren't you afraid I'll tell her? Oh, I'm so scared. Go ahead and tell her. See who she believes. He turned coolly and started to leave. I grabbed his arm. Do you just want money? How much? Hu Jun shook off my hand. How much you got? A pauper pretending to be rich. He walked away without looking back. Growing increasingly uneasy, I entered a nearby bar to buy information about Hu Jun. That's pure scumbag. Several ex-girlfriends vanished, who knows where. People saw him collecting monthly meds from the clinic. Always has us play thugs while he acts the hero, preying on college girls. Now it made sense. That incident with Shiyu must have been Hu Jun's setup. I couldn't wait to find Shiyu and tell her the truth, but before I could open my mouth, she launched into a furious tirade at me. How could you hit Ajun? She grabbed my arm, her eyes bloodshot as she roared. Have you gone mad, Chinyan? I froze. You trust him more than me now? Is that it? Yes. Shiyu released me, her eyes filled with contempt. I'm warning you, stay away from Ajun. She probably forgot those moments when I was emotionally shattered, when she held me tight and gently said, I'm here with you. You won't be alone. It was you who pulled me out of the mire, yet now you're pushing me back in. Thinking of this, I completely broke down. Shiyu, our over 10-year relationship. Don't use emotions as an excuse. It's long gone, she coldly interrupted. Amidst the tangle of rage and despair, I tore the necklace from my neck and threw it out the window. But she showed no reaction. Instead, with an expression of disgust, she said, Good riddance. Don't CT me anymore in the future. I don't want Ajun to misunderstand. I laughed bitterly in fury. It was you who made the promise first back then. I'm human too. I have feelings. I have a heart. She interrupted impatiently. Fine. Consider it my fault. With that, she turned and walked away determinedly, not looking back this time, truly never turning back. I crouched trembling on the floor. Back when we studied together to escape the village, I worked till I forgot sleep and food. There were weeks I barely ate, until I ended up collapsing in the county hospital. She had held my hand then, crying, You promised to stay with me forever. I can't lose you. Now she was really gone, and I, Brother Chinyan. The familiar address came. I turned excitedly, but found only emptiness. Why am I alone again? What? Howling in anguish, I curled in the corner, pounding the floor with my fists until they bled. Song Wei appeared like a phantom, silently wrapping my bleeding hand with gauze. Called Shiyu, the voice came through. Who is he putting on this act for? I've already said not to come to me with his affairs anymore. I need to stay with Ajun. I remained silent. Song Wei indignantly shouted for me. Isn't he doing all this for you? Shiyu sneered. Who asked him to be sentimental? It's disgusting. Tell him to hurry up and die if he really wants to. Hearing her utterly repulsed tone, I knew we were completely over. Chinyan, I heard your childhood sweetheart is planning to drop out. They say she's coming to complete the procedure the day after tomorrow. Oh, got it. Don't inform me about her matters anymore. Upon hearing this news, to my surprise, my heart felt no initial concern. Instead, an unusual calmness settled in. The phone rang. I saw an unfamiliar number. Hello, who is this? It's me, Song Wei. Are you free now? What's wrong? Chinyan, I know today is your birthday. Can you come downstairs? I grabbed my jacket and rushed out. Chinyan, some people are meant to be missed. They didn't know how to cherish you. You deserve better. Ahem. Thank you for the cake. How did you know it's my birthday today? Seeing the anticipation in her eyes, I shyly scratched my head. You? Really don't remember me? Little fireflies flying, who are you missing? Listening to her off-key singing, the voice gradually overlapped with someone long buried in my memories. That summer, torrential rain poured continuously for 7 days and nights, submerging crops and roads. Village broadcast kept replaying evacuation notices while I packed at home to join the villagers. A faint whimpering caught my attention at the doorway. It was a city child, just like my parents in the city. Pale, neat, and delicate, her bright goose-yellow dress particularly striking. Clutching a strange doll, she instantly drew my attention. I was just about to ask what happened. The door panels at the entrance suddenly shattered. Before I could react, massive amounts of water surged in from all directions. The flood erupted, sweeping away everything around us in an instant. I desperately clung to the door frame. Yet the little girl was swept away by the torrent. Murky floodwaters carrying gravel slammed into my chest, and I choked on a mouthful of grit. Grabbed the rope. I braced myself, pulled a hemp rope from my luggage, and hurled it toward the girl. She struggled desperately to seize the rope, finally managing to tie it around herself. Seeing this, I tightened my grip on the rope's end and secured it to a pillar in the house. Following the rope, I swam to her, pulled tight to my neck. Then I mustered all my strength to carry her to the rooftop. The surroundings were filled with wreckage battered by the flood. We waited on that crumbling rooftop for 2 days and 2 nights. She slumped on the rooftop, continuously coughing up yellowish fluid, trembling in terror. Clutching a stuffed toy with tearful sobs, she whimpered, "Brother, I'm so scared. I want to go home." Sniff, "I feel awful, Dad, Mom. Don't be afraid. Adults should come rescue us soon. Stop crying. I'll do a magic trick for you." Then, like offering a treasure, I pulled out a soaked white rabbit milk candy from my pocket. "Do you want candy? This is super sweet." She pinched the melted sugar lump, placed it in her mouth, and began chewing. Gradually, her sobs subsided. I propped myself up weakly in the corner, gazing at the frail girl in my arms. Her pale yellow dress was now filthy. We both looked utterly wretched, yet her eyes gazing at me seemed to sparkle with stars. "Brother, I'm still scared. Will you tell me a story? My mom always tells me stories." Under her hopeful gaze, I told her many stories from the past, including the passing of Grandma and Grandpa and our parents' abandonment. She touched my damp eyes with her soft little hand. "Brother, don't cry. They're bad for leaving you, but Weiwei wants you. Weiwei will always stay by your side." After days of rescue efforts, the floodwaters had gradually receded, and relief washed over me. Watching her eyes close from exhaustion, clutching her doll while sobbing and calling out in her sleep, "Mom, Dad, I'm scared. Weiwei's scared." I hummed the song Chong'er Fei that mother taught me, gently stroking her back with my hand. When I opened my eyes again, I lay in a hospital bed, clutching only that strange doll. No other figure remained. Now, returning to the present. "So it's really you, Weiwei? What happened afterwards? Are you all right?" "I'm fine. After we went back, Dad took me to the hospital. But by the time they found me, you hadn't woken up yet. Dad couldn't delay his investigation work, so we had to leave first. Still, I left you. My most cherished doll. It was like I stayed by your side. But how did you find me? That's a secret." Her radiant smile sent waves of ripples through my calm heart. On countless nights, I would hug that doll, thinking of that bright goose-yellow dress. It kept the loneliness at bay. She shoved a campus competition poster into my hands. "Will you join this year's campus competition with me?" Songwei tugged at my hand, swinging it like a spoiled child. "Well, I don't have any special talents. I don't think I can do it." "You liar. You sing so beautifully. Do it with me this time. I'll accompany you on the piano." "Why does it have to be me? You've endured so much backlash on Shiyu's behalf this time. Isn't this the perfect opportunity to shine? Let everyone rediscover a brand new Chunyan. Show your brightest side." "I'll give it a try then." I reluctantly agreed, watching her enthusiastic demeanor. Since that day, we met daily for rehearsals at the music room. I often wondered aloud, how could such a grand music room never have other users? But she always dodged the question. Until one day, while waiting for Songwei downstairs as usual, I spotted Shiyu in a corner again. Gone was her former radiance, her face now filled with fury and haggardness. "Ajuan, you love me most, right? Who is this woman? Don't leave me. Only my love is real. I'm even carrying your child. I told you she's just like a little sister. Your constant paranoia exhausts me." "Sister? How could that be?" With those words, Shiyu rushed towards Hujun, but was kicked away by him. Shiyu collapsed to the ground, bright red blood trickling down her skirt hem. "Ajun, I feel awful." She clutched at Hujun's trouser leg, pleading. Hujun held the girl beside him tighter, ignoring Shiyu completely. Witnessing this scene, I rushed forward and punched that scum hard. "Have you gone mad? Shiyu is your girlfriend. How could you treat her like this?" "Exactly, since you know she's my woman. Whatever I do is my business. Who are you pretending to be a hero here? Get the hell out of here." After being kicked hard by Hujun, I ignored the pain and turned to pick up Shiyu. "Hey, if you let that guy touch you, I'll dump you for good. I absolutely hate others touching what's mine." "You?" I glared furiously at Hujun, Yet my hand still reached out to Shiyu. Who would have thought that Shiyu, who had been lying on the ground moments earlier, immediately sprang to her feet and retreated behind Jun upon hearing this, looking at me with disgust. Qinyan, why don't you just get lost? Jun dislikes you. Jun, I always knew you cared about me. I'd never let any other man touch me. Except you. She then shyly kissed Jun. The scene laid everything bare. It turned out I was just a prop in their twisted game. You better not let him fool. You, mind your own business. Qinyan, stop trying to ruin things between us. The whispers behind me pierced clearly through the air. Without a word, I stood up, causing promotional flyers and rehearsal schedules to spill from my pocket. Jun snatched them up with quick reflexes, but I paid no attention, turning to fetch Song Wei instead. The teacher glanced awkwardly between me and Song Wei, opening and closed her mouth several times. I frowned. You know this program was ours to rehearse first. I know, but sure you and her group did sign up first. How about you choose another piece? Teacher, who exactly are you asking to change? Song Wei stared coldly at the teacher. Oh no, I mean you this. The teacher glanced at Song Wei, stammering fearfully. If it's so troublesome, just delete their entry. The door suddenly swung open as Shiryu entered arm in arm with Jun. Wait, you're not even from our school. What right do you have to join this competition? Song Wei stepped forward to confront them. I'm not, but my wife is. She's still in her postpartum confinement period and desperately needs that first-place prize money. Is it you who needs it, or Shiryu? Isn't this obvious? I angrily stepped forward to grab Jun's collar. What's hers is mine. Ask her yourself. Didn't she volunteer to participate? Jun slapped my hand away. Qinyan, can you stop showing up in front of me all the time? Didn't I make myself clear last time? Jun entered the competition for me, and after we win, he promised to take me abroad for vacation. You don't understand anything, just shut up. Shiryu shouted at me agitatedly. Then figure it out yourselves. Why steal our ideas? The capable will prevail anyway. We'll wait and see. I tried to argue further, but Song Wei pulled me along and purposely bumped into Jun as we walked out. Originally thought rearranging our material would reveal the truth during the competition, but still underestimated them. On the day of the competition, I received a call from Shiryu. She was crying her heart out, begging me to save her from Jun. Of course I considered it might be a trap, but remembering our past friendship and the entrustment from Shiryu's mother, I couldn't take the risk. Maybe this really would be the last time. Perhaps she genuinely needed my help. After sending a text to Song Wei, I dashed out of the school gate. Until I reached that alley. A sack was thrown over my head. Countless iron rods rained down heavily on my body. I flailed my arms to shield my head, unsure how long it lasted until my strength drained. What are you doing? I'm calling the police, rang out. A slim figure rushed to my side. Get them. I instinctively clutched the figure in my arms. As the sound of a police siren approached, the attackers hastily scattered. I struggled to pull off the burlap sack, staring at the familiar figure nestled in my arms. At this moment, her delicate face was already covered in scars, yet she still gazed at me with a smile and said, See, this time it was me protecting you, right? Vivi, are you okay? Don't fall asleep, don't fall asleep. It turned out only I hadn't realized the importance of the person before me. Vivi, I love you. Don't leave me, don't you leave me. Haha. I'm fine, really, just a little tired. I stood up holding her tightly with a pained expression. The police arrived one after another and promptly rushed us to the hospital. That night, I lay in the hospital bed with bandages wrapped around me. Through my roommate, I watched the video of Shiyu and Jun/S first place performance. They sang exactly the version of I Little Insects Flying/I that I had taught her. My heart filled with irony. I will never believe you again, Shiyu. You/V exhausted all our bonds these days. From now on, we/re just strangers. As I brooded, the door creaked open. Song Wei walked in. Are you okay? Thanks to you protecting me. I only needed some minor bandaging. Then why did you faint? Well, I skipped breakfast after getting your text and chased after you. Had low blood sugar. The air froze. She glanced at me shyly. About what you said earlier. Did you mean it? Yes, I like you. I'm sorry it took me so long to realize, making you wait. Memories flooded me. Her meticulous care, her quiet companionship. I been blind to my own heart. Gripping her hand firmly, I declared. Actually, I was planning to confess to you after this program. Since you said it first, I'll just agree. Song Wei said happily. However, some people think they can get away with such tricks to win first place. Dream on. Hey Dad, about the campus competition. Yes, I hope the prize money can be delayed. There's more excitement coming up. Song Wei took out her phone and made a call. Your dad? From our school? Can he just delay it whenever? I asked in confusion. Giggle, my dad is Song Jinhua, the vice president of our university. He should be able to handle such a small matter. Hearing this news, I stared at my charming girlfriend in shock. Dude, I think I've struck gold. On the awards ceremony day, Shiyu and Hoojun stood triumphantly on stage, basking in everyone's applause. Suddenly, footage started playing on the big screen behind them. In the corner of the rehearsal room, Shiyu with a fever patch on her forehead weakly spoke into her phone. Jun, trust me, if I invite Chinyan out, he'll definitely come. He's just a simp who'll do whatever I say. When the time comes, you get a few people to cripple him. Then he can't possibly compete. With the teacher's cooperation, first place will be ours, and we'll definitely win the prize money. Seeing this scene, the entire venue erupted in uproar. No, this is edited, it's fact. Shiyu frantically explained. The awarding teacher beside her now looked extremely nervous. Student Shiyu, what nonsense are you talking? Song Wei and I calmly walked forward, producing the voice recorder in our hands. If you don't believe it, I have another recording here. Care to listen? With that, we directly played it through the microphone. That woman, she's just a plaything. Got pregnant and still wants me to take responsibility? Dream on. I kicked her straight in the belly. Made damn sure it all came out clean. Who wants defective merchandise? Huh. How's the contact with the boss? Yeah, same deal as those college girls before. Ship them to Myanmar. They love them young there. Pay top dollar and don't even mind the STDs. Haha, roger that. We'll definitely let the brothers have first dibs, followed by lewd laughter. Shiyu turned ashen upon hearing the recording, staring at Hoojun beside her. See, you despicable bastard. Hoojun lunged for Song Wei's throat, but I yanked her back faster. Chinyan, what do you think you're doing? Don't touch Jun. Shiyu launched forward, her nails digging into my arms. We've already called the police. Hoojun. Song Wei shouted at the livid man. Seeing the situation unravel, Hoojun shoved the still struggling Shiyu away and bolted for the exit. Watching his hurriedly fleeing figure, I turned to Shiryu. Is this the true love you've been chasing all along? Jun, what are you doing? I haven't left yet. Jun. The police had long been waiting at the entrance, and Hoojun was apprehended immediately upon exiting. Yet Shiryu, witnessing everything before her eyes, still refused to believe it. She screamed hysterically. This is all your act, isn't it, Chinyan? You hired people to play cops. Why must you separate me from Jun? We're true love, true love. I remained silent in the face of her growing madness. Afterward, Shiryu was also taken by the police for questioning. Watching this farce come to an end, I embraced Song Wei beside me. Thank you. Thank you for always staying by my side. I should thank you too, for being willing to love me, and to be with me. Ahem, cough. Isn't someone going to thank me? A deep, mature voice interrupted our embrace. Looking up, I saw Dean Song Wei's father, who also happened to be our college dean. I awkwardly released my hands. That, uncle. I mean, Dean Song. Chinyan, I know you. Thank you for your courage back then. You've achieved remarkable success at such a young age. Heard your research results will pass review next year? Excellent. I'll entrust Wei Wei to your care from now on. He patted my shoulder approvingly. A year later, my graduation project, Research on Innovative Applications of Multimodal Fusion AI Intelligent Algorithms, attracted widespread attention immediately after publication. Major internet companies soon recruited me as director with high salary. Although they wanted me to start immediately, I prioritized personal milestones and postponed the position, scheduled to start at the end of year. Recalling how surprised Song Wei was when facing my carefully prepared marriage proposal, I felt all my efforts hadn't been in vain. Finally, our wedding is coming next month. I walked back to school with my laptop in hand, planning to finalize the details and procedures for that day at the hotel after submitting my project. As I was thinking, a figure suddenly blocked my path. I looked up in surprise at Shiyu standing before me. She looked like life had thoroughly trampled her, completely drained of her former vitality. Her greasy hair clung to her scalp, tattered clothes hung loosely on her frame, and dark red rashes covered her arms. Brother Chinyan, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Let's start over. I recalled the school's official announcement. Shiyu had been expelled after being sentenced to 1 year in prison for suspected telecommunications fraud. Looks like she just got out. Under my scrutinizing gaze, Shiyu collapsed to her knees. You still love me, don't you? How could you just forget our over a decade of feelings? That Song Wei woman. You must have hired her to trick me, right? I responded coldly. No, we are truly in love, and we're about to get married. Impossible. Impossible. Look at what this is. Our original keepsakes you made for me with your own hands. Looking down, I saw that they were actually the 2 rings I had discarded long ago. No matter how long you searched, being foolish once in a lifetime is enough. As I spoke, I took the rings and threw them into the trash bin beside us under her hopeful gaze. No, no. She tried to dig through the trash, but I grabbed her arm. Tears welled up in her eyes as she looked at me. Remember our past? It was so beautiful. You promised to marry me, to cherish me forever. We vowed that after 10 marriage proposals, I'd marry you. This would be the 10th. Let me propose to you this time. Please. I kept pushing away her reaching hands. So she remembered everything. How utterly disgusting. Exactly. This proves our relationship was never meant to be fulfilled. Shiyu, like a madwoman, cried and clung to my leg, screaming, "You clearly said you loved me most. How could you treat me like this? Stop being pathetic, all right, Shiyu." Her face turned deathly pale at my words. "I was wrong, Yin. I was truly wrong. I was just deceived by that person. You're the only one I've ever loved, Yinji. I've always remembered your promises to me. We grew up together since childhood. You can't abandon me." Watching her like this, I felt completely numb inside, only bitter resignation. "Can't you stop this, Shiyu? What's going on here?" "Classmates." At the sight of security guards approaching from afar, Shiyu released my leg and fled in disgrace. Later I heard from classmates. After Hu Jun's arrest, authorities uncovered an entire human trafficking ring operating behind him. As a hunter, he used his appearance to specifically target inexperienced female college students, even utilizing their ID cards for telecom fraud operations. When the time was ripe, he would contact his superiors to traffic them to Myanmar and Southeast Asia. With Shiyu's outstanding appearance, simple-minded nature, and rural family background, she became his perfect prey. Hu Jun himself had AIDS yet remained unrestrained, frequently preying on his victims. Infected girls could only be sent to places like Myanmar and Southeast Asia for the lowest-tier flesh trade, where sanitary conditions were poorer. Recalling how Shiyu constantly wore fever-reducing patches during that period and had rashes on her arms, there was a 90% chance she'd been infected. Since then, I never saw Shiyu again. Until that day, under the bright sunshine, Songwei walked towards me step by step in elaborate wedding attire, holding Dean Song's arm. My bride appeared so pure and beautiful. "Bride, do you take the groom to be your husband, for better or worse, for richer?" I object. Amidst the gasps of the crowd, Shiyu appeared at my wedding ceremony wearing a simple wedding dress. "Big brother Chunyin is mine. He's my bridegroom. Didn't we once vow to stay by each other's side for a lifetime?" Shiyu gazed at me with wounded eyes, her gaze filled with shattered pieces. "Didn't you say true feelings never change if they're sincere? You had sincere feelings for me before, so you still love me, don't you?" She carefully took out the pair of rings from her embrace and presented them to me once again. I could almost imagine how long she must have spent searching through the trash to find them again. Yet now, Shiyu, don't you understand yet? There's no possibility between us. You personally severed our feelings with your own hands. Now, we are nothing more than strangers. I spoke the words she had once said to me. Then, using a lighter, I gradually melted the ring in front of her. "I never deny the feelings I once had for you. After all, it was indeed you who stayed by my side during that time. But that was all in the past. We will never meet again." Her expression froze as a crimson rim gradually emerged around her eyes. "No, give me another chance, Chunyin." Shiyu suddenly grabbed Songwei, her emotions unusually intense. "You have everything now. Couldn't you just return Chunyin to me? I've lost everything now. He's all I have left." Songwei pushed him away with a smile. "Then who caused all of this? Was it me? Or Chunyin?" "No, all of this is your own doing, Shiyu." Shiyu let go in despair, standing frozen in place. "I'm sorry, Yin. And he thought she was just coming as a friend to see your wedding. Who knew? Shiyu isn't quite right in the head. I'll take her back right now. I'll take her back right now." Shiyu's mother rushed in from outside, dragging her by the arm as she marched towards the exit. The once capable and spirited woman now had her hair streaked with white from the trials her daughter had put her through. I had the security guards escort Shiyu and her mother to a corner seat, kept them under strict surveillance, ensuring they would witness my wedding ceremony with their own eyes. After it ended, I could no longer see them. My classmate said Shiyu's mother had already prepared to take her back to the village, declaring she wouldn't let her out again. When I learned this, I didn't feel particularly vindicated, nor was I deeply saddened, just relieved. That night, Songwei held me tightly and asked, "Do you still have feelings for her?" I knew the test meant for me had come. There's no denying I did have feelings for her, but that was all in the past. From the moment I was with you, there could only